It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. So good to hear from so many of you in the comments. I'll be going through those throughout the day for those starting to get back online in the wake of Melissa. Now, I want to look ahead through the month, kind of a few areas we're going to watch out for. Initially, we're watching out for that flood potential. Here's a tropical wave sliding by Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, back through the Bahamas. No signs of development on that. Want to be really clear about that. But as this tropical wave slides across the Cayman Islands, it helps draw on that moisture. This is a pocket we're going to watch for some additional flooding as we go forward. You can see in here overnight, we've seen that big buildup of rain back through Colombia, still near parts of Panama. Some spots getting a break in Costa Rica. It'll kind of build again, but lifting to the north, Providencia, San Andres, swinging back toward Honduras. This will get on the edge of Belize as this kind of lifts to the north. It gets tied into that tropical wave. Then we look to the north. We've had some additional rain back through the Bahamas, lifting over toward Bermuda. Here's that area near the Carolinas. That'll zoom up toward the Atlantic region of Canada. I'll show you that. Pretty large storm system, quick one, but not tropical in nature, but we'll track that. Now, as we look ahead throughout the week, and throughout the month, a couple of things we're going to watch out for. One, the southeastern Caribbean. I want to zoom down in a moment. A better chance of rain. We need to keep an eye on that flood potential through November into December. This has been a spot the last few years. Trinidad and Tobago, for example, we've had some serious flooding in spots. I think it was a couple of years ago into early December. There was significant flooding. We're going to see that flow of moisture again, and I'll highlight that in just a second. And then we keep an eye on the southwestern and western Caribbean. Sometimes you could get a little brief tropical development in this area. No signs of that now, but we have a lot of rain building here. So overall, that is a spot we just kind of keep an eye on as we go forward throughout the last month of hurricane season, which ends at the end of this month. So Trinidad and Tobago, zooming down, 3-day rain totals. It's going to be spotty, but some of us could see some flooding. So giving you the heads up, you see this white shading. Those would be totals of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. And this is a model. So maybe this is sitting right over here, or maybe it stays over water. Maybe it lifts more toward Tobago. But either way, the chance of rain building in parts of the southeastern Caribbean. And I want to take you into the upcoming weekend as it builds further in the eastern Caribbean. And then this spot and through here, I mentioned especially closer to the Caribbean side, Honduras, including the islands, swinging all the way down through Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. Some totals will be around 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain as we go over just the next 3 days. Substantial flooding in some spots. It's because of this tropical wave sliding by. Again, no development, but it draws up that moisture. You see some of the rain here, and then we're looking at spotty showers elsewhere. But there's that pocket near Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, northeastern sections of Venezuela, where there'll be additional rain right there. That's why I was highlighting that. Even parts of Grenada, St. Vincent the Grenadines, the rain chance is going to bump up. Then by tomorrow, the tropical wave moves into the western portions of Cuba over toward the Florida Keys, and it draws in more of that moisture. So still watching this area, better chance in Belize. And then you could see St. Lucia South, some of those spotty showers that will be possible as we work our way into our Tuesday forecast. By Wednesday, you could see some of the additional rain still in some locations, scattered about the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba. Hit or miss in Puerto Rico. Here's that moisture we're watching here, but additional rain. This is what we'll be watching next. Again, no signs of development, but as this moves in, let me just jump ahead here and stop the clock by Saturday, give you a feel of what's next. You see in the eastern Caribbean, some additional rain by the time we get into the weekend, and that's what I mentioned. We need to watch that flood threat, right? Some additional rain near Trinidad and Tobago the next couple days. We may see another resurgence of that by the time we get into the weekend, and then as you go over the next few weeks, it starts to stack up. So we need to watch those rain totals and that flood potential carefully. And we'll monitor for any signs of development, not just not seeing that right now. So watching this area here near the mid-Atlantic of the U.S., New England, moving toward New Brunswick, drawing in that moisture, the tail end sweeping back through the northern Bahamas, back into the Gulf, additional rain into Bermuda. And this area lifts up through the Atlantic region of Canada. Welcome rain. I'll show you the rain totals in a moment. Gusty winds, 50, 60 mile per hour winds, especially Newfoundland, even back toward Nova Scotia. So we're looking at some of the gust over 80 kilometers an hour. There's some of the rain parts of Cuba over toward the Florida Keys. And then a new system working in toward the Pacific Northwest of the United States and into western sections of Canada. So a lot going on to the north. Again, a lot of fronts pushing by, but they do kind of feed in moisture in parts of the Caribbean and parts of the Gulf. This here is by Wednesday. You can see the rain sitting there over water, and then a little sneaky system here once again driving through New England with a mix of rain and snow in parts of New England. That will lift up toward the Atlantic region of Canada by Thursday. And here's that new system trying to close in on the Rocky Mountains as we work our way into the middle of the week. Now we'll get into those important rain totals. I do want to show you the seas as this area kind of builds here. The Atlantic waters are going to be building with that area lifting up toward Canada. Choppier though central and then western sections of the Caribbean. There are those swells kind of working in those higher waves as we work our way back toward Bermuda. Once that area departs the Atlantic region of Canada, a little more settled, but as we work our way into Wednesday, still watching the Bahamas more on the kind of real true Atlantic side, open waters of the Atlantic. That's where we're going to see those choppier seas and a bit bumpy with some of that rain building coming out of the Caribbean into the Gulf as we work our way into the middle of the week. Now the rest of hurricane season, we're way past peak November. Occasionally you get a named storm or two. Usually it's way out there somewhere in the Atlantic, just kind of spinning, just kind of a rogue system. Not a bother usually, right? And we watch the southwestern Caribbean for any signs of development. That's what we'll do as we go throughout the month. Hurricane season ends at the end of November. Now watching the rain on the move. I mentioned much of Florida dry, but we swing down toward the Keys, could get clipped by some rain. Cuba, especially western sections, better chance of rain. And back through the Bahamas, we're still scattered with that rain where we could get some spots of 25 millimeters of rain or an inch of rain. So that tropical wave sliding by. So the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, we may get a couple areas, not widespread, but a few that could get a quick 50 millimeters of rain. If we get a quick tropical downpour, that could lead to 50 millimeters of rain. We'll monitor that in the wake, of course, of Melissa as those ongoing relief efforts still going strong, of course, and they will for a long period of time. I'll put in the comments some ways we could help together as a community too. Scattered about from Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, not super high totals for the most part, but this is that pocket we're going to watch out for that I zoomed down earlier. And anywhere from St. Lucia south, we could get a quick 25 millimeters of rain or an inch of rain, but more in a few spots, including northern sections of Guyana, not as much Suriname. We'll keep an eye on northeastern sections of Venezuela, but here are those big pockets. Belize, we'll see how much of this kind of builds back. Same thing, Cancun, Cozumel, swinging back toward the Yucatan as we go throughout the week, and we'll be highlighting that flood threat in parts of Central America. Guatemala and El Salvador on the flip side, that had substantial flooding over the last few months. On the quieter side, more of this is over toward the Caribbean side, so keeping an eye on the Yucatan Peninsula. But as we swing back through Mexico City north, throughout the southwest U.S., southern U.S., you see how it's quieter here. These storm systems really near the Carolinas, lifting up through New England, Atlantic region of Canada, and the new ones working in back here, back toward parts of Canada and the western U.S. So the rain chance getting higher in some spots. Looking at about a passing shower today. But as I mentioned, the next couple of days in Jamaica, if we get a brief tropical downpour, that could lend itself to a few spots of getting 25 to 50 millimeters of rain. Cayman Islands, same thing. The moisture is going to build a little bit further by Wednesday in the Cayman Islands. We're looking at about a 60% chance. And you see Trinidad and Tobago, we have a 40% chance today, but it gets even higher. Tomorrow, we're going to monitor isolated areas of flooding, and then we'll keep an eye on the weekend too to see how much of that rain moves closer. Meantime, Barbados, most of it just to the south, but we may see a few showers around, and we'll monitor. Short-term St. Lucia, about 20%, but it will eventually be bumping up, and you see it getting a little bit higher as well through the middle of the week as we work our way through Grenada, passing shower, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, mainly south, southern islands. That's where that rain chance could be as high as about 40 to 50%. Martinique, 30% chance today, 20% tomorrow. Isolated as we work our way from Dominica back through Guadeloupe. Rain chance about 20% today, and that's it. Antigua, Barbuda, rain chance staying limited. Passing shower variety. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, looking at a 30% chance over the next 3 days. Anguilla, 30% chance today through St. Bart's, a 20% chance for tomorrow. Same thing as we work our way towards St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Isolated shower chance. We do that again in Puerto Rico. Could get a couple downpours around, but overall, the rain chance holding at about 30%. 40% chance today, Anegada south through St. Croix. A few of us will catch a couple showers through the Virgin Islands. The Bahamas, those scattered areas of rain, right? Not necessarily a washout, but north, central, and south, scattered areas of rain over the next few days, and that'll lend itself to about a 30 to even 40% chance back through the Turks and Caicos. Scattered about through the Dominican Republic. We had that flooding yesterday. Thank you for your comments. I was watching that carefully in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Tropical wave, though, continued to weaken, but about a 40% chance of some spotty showers possible across Haiti. Belize, though, there is our rain chance going up by the middle of the week, up to at least a 50% chance. Meanwhile, Aruba, about a 20% chance today and a 20 to 30% chance. Curacao and Bonaire, a little bit higher by the time we get into Wednesday, could clip about 40%. Northern sections of Guyana, better chance of rain, and we'll keep an eye on Suriname. Some spotty showers will be possible by Wednesday, up to a 50% chance. Western end of Cuba, a better chance of rain today. Scattered about throughout Cuba, but western sections with that tropical wave moving by, higher chance. Costa Rica, Panama does try to trend down a little bit. We are monitoring the flooding closely. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. 60% chance in Nicaragua, again favoring the Caribbean side with rain, and that rain builds back as we work our way into Honduras. At least the next 2 days, that rain chance will be higher. Bumps up on Wednesday somewhat. Guatemala, El Salvador will be up to about a 40% chance. Meanwhile, Mexico City, we're on the dry side, and we swing back toward the Yucatan Peninsula. Eastern sections, Cancun and Cozumel, that's where that rain chance will be getting higher. 50% chance northern Colombia, about a 40% chance the next couple of days northern Venezuela. It will get higher though as the week goes on, and watching those kind of systems nearby sweeping through Bermuda with that chance of rain just as they sweep by, as they lift up toward the Maritimes and the overall Atlantic region of Canada. So tropical wave moving west, that rain building Western Caribbean and Central America. Watching the Southeastern Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago, at least in the short term, for some additional rain. So we need to watch out for that flood potential, not just in the short term, but as we go throughout this month into December. And that is something we've seen over the last few years. So I'll be looking for you in the comments. I hope you have a safe day and have a really good start to the week.